headlines, many are questioning the deafening silence of President Bongbong Marcos on the abuses inflicted by heavily armed authorities against KOJC missionaries, as many defenseless women, children, and elderly are traumatized by the desecration and inhumane invasion that happened on June 10th. A former U.S. intelligence officer is urging Filipinos to wake up to the truth that America will never help us if war breaks out between the Philippines and China. This comes amid renewed tensions between the two countries over disputed territories in the West Philippine Sea. And South Korea declares a demographic national emergency, with its president promising to make every effort to address the country's population crisis due to its ultra-low birth rate. I'm Frederico Velloso. Newsline World starts now. Authorities responsible for the violent raid on the KOJC religious compound, which traumatized children, could face child abuse charges. Hannah Jane Sancho reports.
You stay here only. I will come back. Sige na, yugo to mama na. Nung after nung June 10, 2024 yung nangyari incident, nung lumusob yung mga SAP, mga CIDG, mga pulis dito sa compound, yung ugali nung anak ko biglang naiba. Talagang na-traumatize talaga sila. Grabe yung takot na naramdaman nila. Ayaw nila akong umalis ng bahay.
The intense fear caused by the violent raid of armed authorities on the KOJC religious compounds early in the morning of June 10, 2024 has left a lasting impact on the children living there. Simultaneously, armed police raided the Kingdom of Jesus Christ headquarters in Davao City, Prayer Mountain and Dory Mountain at the foothills of Mount Apo, and the Kitbo compound in Malungon, Sarangani Province.
If the child may have experienced and first-hand witnessed a significant amount of stress and anxiety after being caught in a traumatic event, maaari talaga itong magdulot ng intense fear at saka sense of danger.
Attorney Marlon Bosantog, an anchor of the Pilipinas Nating Mahal online show, believes that such trauma to children could have been avoided if the authorities had properly done their job.
At nung alam mo rin na bago ka mag-serve sa isang area, kasi when you serve a warrant of arrest, you serve it to a person, not to a place.
Oh, to a person.
But i-case mo yung place na yon. You know what kind of people are inside that place. And what you do is a proportionate response. Pag alam mo, kasi imposible namang hindi nila alam, na yan ay pinababahayan ng mga family at andyan ay mga bata, you don't go there in a full battle gear, holding M16s. Kitang-kita naman sa video, sirain mo yung gate. Di wala ka rin naman palang nakuha. The purpose of your operation was not successful. So what you did was you traumatized the children. Hindi mo pwedeng just simply to wave na, oh, wala, ginawa namin to, nanira kami ng mga gamit, sumira kami ng mga gate, we expose ourselves to these people na, tingnan mo, na para kaming lulusob sa giyera. At anadatnan mo yung mga bata. And you do not expect, and you expect na walang trauma na mangyayari.
Bosantog believes that child abuse should be included among the charges against the authorities involved in the violent raid on the KOJC religious compounds, which caused trauma to innocent children. This is also the wish of KOJC legal counsel and the parents of the affected children.
Unang-una, administratibo, grave abuse of authority. Pangalawa, if in the conduct of your operation, you, yung hinahanap kasi is yung if you degrade the intrinsic value of a child by your actions, it could be child abuse.
Child abuse.
Yes.
Pwede.
At alam nila
mabigat
yan.
By ito, attorney?
Kasi imposible. Mabigat naman yan kasi that is a penalty in imprisonment. No? Ang tanong kasi dyan is, nung pumunta ka sa area na yun, alam mo ba na walang mga bata dyan? Imposible. Because you must have conducted first, no? A surveillance on the area para alam mo na ang subject ng warrant of arrest ay nandyan.
In addition to that, we are also looking into child abuse, considering the trauma that the children in these situations were subjected to.
Ako, pabor talaga ako na kasuhan ng child abuse yung mga kapulisan na lumusob dito sa KOJC compound. Lalong-lalo na yung nag-utos sa kanila, yung pinakaulo, yung mastermind. Kasi hindi talaga normal eh. Naapektuhan talaga yung mga damdamin ng mga bata. Ever since hindi naman sila ganon. Pinalaki kami ni pastor dito, inalagaan kami ni pastor dito na puro love lang, pagmamahal lang yung ini-implement sa amin. Tapos nagtaka ako, bakit ganon? Masakit para sa akin bilang magulang na makita mo yung bunsong anak mo na ganon. Na ayaw kong ipakita sa kanila na ganon yung nangyayari.
Attorney Israelito Torreon, KOJC's legal counsel, has already stated that they will file charges against the police and other government officials involved in the raid on the KOJC religious compounds. The charges will include administrative cases like grave misconduct, grave abuse of authority, and conduct unbecoming of a public officer, which could result in their removal from their service and perpetual disqualification from public office under civil service regulations. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this is Hannah Jane Sancho, SMNI News.
More than a week has passed since the overkill arrest warrant served by the police on the religious compound of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, or KOJC. Yet the trauma still lingers among members. This is why many cannot help but question President Marcos' silence on the excessive violence they suffered at the hands of the police. Jade Calabroso reports.
Yeah, we are still coping up sa very traumatic experience. Kung tayo mga adult na nahihirapan nga cope up sa napaka-traumatic experience, how much more yung mga bata. Naawa talaga ako sa mga bata na labis na naapektuhan yung pagsalakay marahas, violente na pagsalakay po sa ating mga kingdom compounds. So sa ngayon po, patuloy po ang ating pagbabantay kasi nandun na yung pakiramdam na kahit sa sarili mong lugar hindi ka naligtas.
The events of June 10, 2024 will forever be etched in the minds of the public, especially the members of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, the day when armed police forcibly and violently entered the church religious compound in Davao City. Aside from the heavy trauma inflicted on the children and women, the incident also caused resentment among KOJC members due to the desecration of a place they regard not only as their home but also as a sacred place given by the Almighty Father.
So ginawa natin nung nakaraang Lunes, 1 week after sa June 10, may reconsecration sa lahat ng compounds. Kasi nga pumasok sila dito with the evil hearts and malicious minds. Kasi nga ang lugar na ito dedicated lang. Hindi natin in-expect bakit sila pumasok ng ganyan. Ang iba pa umihi sa pader, dumudura kahit saan. And we treated this place with full respect because nandito ang presensya ng Ama bilang mga kingdom citizen.
Because of the unacceptable actions done by the police, Brother Carlo Catil, a KOJC minister, questioned whether they could do the same to other religions.
Kung ihambing natin, magagawa ba nila yan sa mga kapatiran nating Muslim kung pasukin yung mga mosque nila, yung mga bahay-sambahan nila? Sa mga kapatiran natin na mga Katoliko, kung pasukin yung mga bahay-sambahan, mga katedral nila? Diba? Ganun, ilagay nilang isipan nila doon. Ito yung place of worship natin. Sagrado po ito para sa amin sa atin na mga kingdom citizen. Ito yung binigay ng Ama, hindi lamang property na pangkaraniwang property.
Adding to the pain and trauma suffered by KOJC missionaries is the National Police misinterpretation of what truly happened. As a Filipino citizen, Catil also questioned President Bongbong Marcos' silence on the excessive force used by the police against the defenseless missionaries of the KOJC.
We demand him as Filipino citizens. We demand him ano yung nangyari, ano yung masabi niya sa nangyari itong sa paglusob sa mga KOJC compounds. Bakit po tahimik po tayo? Mr. President, bakit po tahimik po tayo? Kami po yung nagluklok sa iyo sa pwesto. Bahagi po kami sa sambayang Pilipino na nagtiwala po sinagluklok sa iyo sa pwesto. Ngayon po, kami po yung inaapi sa gobyernong niluklok po namin sa pwesto. Sa gobyernong kami rin po na mga nasa mamamayang Pilipino ang nagbigay ng kapangyarihan. Yun po yung kapangyarihang inabuso at binalik po sa amin ang pang-aabuso. And then, wala kang marinig, man lang. Yun po, nakakasakit po sa damdamin.
It is well known that Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy gave his full support to BBM during the 2022 elections because of the promise to continue the initiative started by former President Rodrigo Duterte.
Kami buong Kingdom Nation, pangunguna ng aming mahal na pastor, todo suporta. Kasi Menay, todo suporta, full support po. Hindi naman kami, we are not asking anything in return po. Wala po yung string attached pag magtulong po, tumutulong kasi naniwala po kami sa plataforma po ninyo. Naniwala po kami nung sinabi po ninyo na ipagpatuloy po ninyo ang mga nasimula na ng Duterte administration. Naniwala po kami na babangon tayo, sabay-sabay tayong babangon. Pero po sa tingin namin, mahal na Pangulo, kabaliktaran po yung nangyari. Sa mga issue po na mga kagaya nito, mga national interest, wala po kaming maririnig. Wala pong assurance. Mas matatanong namin sa may gobyerno pa tayo? Gobyerno ng iilan lamang ng sariling interest. Paano na po kami? Paano na po kami ng mga mamamayan lang? Kahit na yung boses natin, pinipigilan, ginugurgur.
Aside from BBM, Katiel also questioned the silence of government officials who pose themselves as protectors of women and the youth.
Nagtataka ako, dati, kung may mga maabuso lang na bata at kababaihan, titindig ka agad yung mga lumalaban sa karapatan ng mga kabataan kababaihan. Ngayon, may narinig ba kayo? 1 week na po. May narinig ba kayo?
For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Jade Calabroso, SMNA News.
A group has extended a formal invitation to Vice President Sara Duterte following her resignation from President Bongbong Marcos' cabinet. MJ Mondahar reports.
At a press conference in Antipolo, Rizal, the Hakbang na Maisog Coalition formally invited Vice President Sara Duterte to lead their group and champion the voice of the united Filipino people against the abuses of the Marcos administration. Former Press Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles, also a former cabinet member of the Marcos administration, announced this move by the Maisog.
In line with this, the Hakbang na Maisog Coalition for Transparency, Accountability, Peace, and Security, therefore, extends this invitation to Vice President Duterte to take over the helm in this historic and heroic struggle at this crucial juncture of our nation's history.
On Wednesday, June 19, VP Sara resigned from Marcos Jr.'s cabinet as Education Secretary and co-vice chair of the NTF-LCAP. For the Maisog, the Vice President serves as a unifying factor to represent the voice of the oppressed.
As the nation's second highest ranking public official, the most credible and popular one at that, Vice President Duterte is in the best position to lead the people's voice against the excesses and abuses of the Marcos administration and to prevent war from breaking out.
The Vice President is also seen as pivotal in informing the public about the dangers of the impending proxy war in the West Philippine Sea, especially as the current government heavily relies on the United States against China.
With the resignation of Vice President Duterte from the Marcos administration, the last facade of law and order and public service has been removed. Worse, the threat of war looms bigger as the Marcos administration sees it as a justifiable option to declare martial law and remain in power.
The Hakbang na Maisog will announce the location of their next peace rally soon. Their leaders' forum in Antipolo, Rizal was successful. The group also hopes that VP Sara will respond to their call.
We stand solidly behind the courageous decision of Vice President Sara. The time has come for all equally patriotic and peace-loving Filipinos to make a stand and save our country from the morally bankrupt Marcos administration.
For God Beloved Philippines, I'm MJ Mondahar, SMNI News.
More news after the break. The government of South Korea declared a demographic national emergency due to the ultra-low birth rate. and declining population. Trisha Molina reports.
South Korea, known for its globally influential culture and abundant tourism, has embarked on a full-fledged war to combat the low birth rate. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol declared a national emergency on population and vowed to exert all efforts to tackle the nation's ultra-low birth rate, such as rolling out measures to expand cash support for newborn babies. President Yoon said the population crisis caused by extremely low birth rates is the foremost and critical issue South Korea is facing today. South Korea has spent some $280 billion over the past 18 years to address its diminishing birth rate. However, its efforts proved to be futile. The government's new measures were based on a thorough reassessment of the government's past efforts to boost South Korea's birth rate as the country learns lessons from the mistakes made in the past. In February, South Korea recorded the world's lowest fertility rate for the 6th consecutive year. Experts warned that South Korea's close to 52 million population may halve by 2100 if the rate of decline continues. Economic pressures, which include the high cost of housing, education, and long working hours, were among the top reasons why couples in South Korea avoid starting a family. Apart from South Korea, falling birth rates are a major concern for some of Asia's biggest economies, such as Japan and Singapore. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
Extreme heat marred an annual tradition sacred to Muslims, killing hundreds of pilgrims during the week-long gathering in Saudi Arabia. Melchizedek Cadiz has the story.
Assalamualaikum. Traveling to Mecca, the holiest place of Muslim cities, is a dream come true and a sacred obligation in Islamic religion. However, this year's pilgrimage was plagued by intense heat that claimed hundreds of lives in less than a week.
Videos of dead bodies scattered in the streets beside piles of rubbish are making rounds on social media. Pilgrims were seen passing by several bodies covered in white clothes, while some of the elderly ones were seen propped up in a wheelchair. The 5-day pilgrimage required hundreds of thousands of people to walk from one side to another under extreme heat, causing many to collapse and require medical assistance, particularly the elderly ones. This year's pilgrimage claimed the lives of 920 people due to intense heat as temperatures hit 51.8 degrees Celsius in Saudi Arabia. Fatalities were reported from Jordan, Indonesia, Iran, Senegal, Tunisia, and Kurdistan. Relatives scoured hospitals and even asked for help online to search for their loved ones. Amid scenes of despair, the annual event became an emotional moment for a family separated by war in Syria after they finally reunited in Saudi Arabia to perform Hajj together. Meanwhile, 130-year-old Sarhuda Setiti, who flew all the way from Algeria via Saudi Airlines, was the eldest pilgrim to perform Hajj in the kingdom this year. Hajj started on the 14th of June and ended on the 19th. It is one of the 5 pillars of Islam which every adult Muslim is expected to perform at least once in their lifetime. The all-rich kingdom has spent billions of dollars on crowd control and safety measures.
Saudi's tropical desert climate makes it one of the hottest countries worldwide, but the extreme heat wave made it more unbearable and a challenging journey for millions of pilgrims who flew to Mecca this year. Reporting from Kuwait, I am Melchizedek Cadiz, your global citizen correspondent for God and for our beloved country, the Philippines.
A tropical storm that made landfall in Mexico has killed 3 people and also brought heavy rains and flooding in parts of Texas, USA. Meanwhile, millions of people were left in the dark after Ecuador experienced a nationwide blackout. David Lira reports.
Tropical Storm Alberto brought heavy rain that left 3 people dead. The heavy rain that brought hope of ending the prolonged severe drought in the country also led to the demise of some. Alberto marked the first tropical storm of what is forecast to be a busy hurricane season in Mexico. The severe drought and low supply of water in the nation's reservoirs left Mexico with a huge debt to the United States due to their shared use of the Rio Grande. Parts of Texas also witnessed heavy rains and gusty winds due to the tropical storm. In Ecuador, the whole nation plunged into darkness, which left 18 million people without electricity due to power line malfunction. The nationwide blackout caused traffic lights to stop working in an instant, which left many vehicles stranded in the subway. The Minister for Public Works blamed the outage on a lack of investment in electricity systems, which led to the energy crisis. Several people were seen getting stuck mid-air after the amusement rides stopped working due to a transmission line failure. This has been David Lira, your global citizen correspondent for SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. What your faith can conceive, you can achieve. And that's all for this edition. For more news update, you may visit smnichannel.com or follow us in our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and Country, the Philippines, I'm Frederico Velloso, and this is Newsline World.
Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.